How do I start this thing?
Have you plugged the bloody USB in?
Yeah, it's in.
Nah, man, that's the wrong port. Oh, wait, it's flashing now.
Is it it's recording.
Well, let's start this thing, fool!
Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Ask the Duo podcast, a podcast where we get deep into those late-night, unfiltered conversations.
We'll be discussing all things lifestyle, relationship, mindset, and more.
Alright, let's get to it! Hello.
Bling, 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 bling. I don't even know what that is.
What the hell was that?
But I'm pretty excited because our dining table has finally arrived after
12 months of waiting.
Is it 12? No, it's been more than 12 months
it?
now. Like a month, a year and a month or something like that.
Well,
13 months.
Yeah. It took a sweet ass time, those bastards.
Yeah, dude. So, actually, nah, I won't call out the company, but the place that we bought it from had so many issues. Like, it wasn't just this dining table. We had dining chairs that we ordered that just had issues where the organization was just real crap. So, went to the warehouse. We ordered 5 chairs. They only had 2 and they didn't even tell us. And the thing is, in between, we had so many emails and phone calls with them to double check to make sure that things were there. And they're always like, yeah, don't worry. Like, we've got everything ready. Like, you can come pick it up or blah, blah, blah. Get there and there's no chairs. And then this dining table was the biggest headache. Like, I think we would have had like over 20 phone calls and like 20 emails with them because they just kept pushing back our table. And like the first 6 months, we were pretty lenient because we're like, yeah, okay, COVID, stock's low, like understandable. So we didn't really push. But then getting towards the end of it, it kind of started getting frustrating because like they just kept giving excuses. And then somehow the table that we had, this one was being delivered. And they sent us an email after we followed up like 20,000 times and they're like, oh, yep, your table is now ready for pickup at the warehouse. And we're like, hang on a second, we paid for delivery, so why is it at the warehouse? And they're like, oh no, it's in our system, it says for pickup. And we're like, no, we paid for delivery. And then they checked and everything, and they're like, yeah, sorry. So they tried to reorganize the delivery. So technically they had our table. We had stock for our table because it's at the warehouse ready for pickup. And then a month later, they reorganized the delivery and now we don't have a table. They're like, no, we don't have stock now. So we're like, where the hell did our table go? So they reorganized again for the table to be delivered. And now they're out of stock for another 6 months. We're like, are you friggin' serious? Like, you've got to be kidding me. So now, well, our table is actually finally here after like all this mess. So I would safely say I will not buy from them ever again.
Yeah, it's the biggest head fuck to go there.
Yeah.
And you also forgot to say that we ordered, was it stools?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was so long ago.
Yeah, we ordered stools for our bench thingo for the, was it the kitchen?
Yeah.
And what happened there? They forgot about it, eh? They just said it was out of stock or whatever it is. And it took ages.
So that one had waiting time, which was fine. We were fine to wait for it. I think we waited for it and it was maybe a week out or a few days out. And then they said out of stock or discontinued. And we're like, okay, so it took you 6 months to tell us that it's discontinued. And we, in the end, didn't even get those,
the stools. I think we just got a refund.
Yeah, we just got a refund. So, you know, that aside, I would say the quality of all our furniture from there is really good.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's just definitely not worth the customer service and the stress and just the headache behind trying to get your stuff. So I'm satisfied with what we've got, but I wouldn't buy from them.
Yeah, I wouldn't
again.
go back there again.
Anyways, so aside from that, I wouldn't say on happier notes, but the topic is about why are people scared of rejection?
Rejection.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. So why do you think people are scared of rejection in your point of view?
Yeah, so it can be a combination of things. Hey, things from the past, It could be just the self-esteem, and that has a play to, I guess, the fear of their just rejection, I guess. But yeah, look, that's probably the majority of the points that can have an effect on how people think and feel.
I think it's also just a natural feeling, it's only natural to feel fear of rejection. But I feel like how you take on that possibility of rejection, or how you take on that emotion, that mindset that comes in your mind when you're trying to, do something, whether you're applying for a job or you're asking someone out, something like that. Like, it's inevitable that it might happen, but it's how you kind of accept that feeling in your mind when it occurs, when that fear kind of pops up in your head, like that little, say a light bulb pops up, and that's your fear light bulb. Like, do you ignore it? Do you try and accept it? Or do you avoid it at all costs? Like, what happens? I think that's what takes this fear of rejection to the next level.
Yeah, 100%.
So overcoming fear of rejection, I feel, comes hand in hand with stepping out of your comfort zone. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's stepping out of your comfort zone to obviously, well, I guess face the fear, right?
Yeah.
And in order to face the fear, that's the only way that you'll learn what rejection is.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like in the back of everyone's mind or your mind, when you do something, you always think that, oh, yeah, you may get rejected. But at the same time, why don't you think of it as, what if you don't get rejected? If you gave it a go and it was like the best thing, the best, moment that's ever happened to you, like, why don't you see it that way as opposed to, what if I get rejected? So it's just flipping it the other way and be like, what if I got accepted?
Yeah, and it brings a important thing as well. It's like, well, you're never not going to know what the results would be until you actually try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like putting yourself out there, just even if it's asking a question, or something really basic like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, you're never going to know what the answer will be until you actually get that answer.
Yeah. And it's also, say you went to a networking event and you know no one at all, like absolutely no one, but you wanted to go there to make new connections, new friends, and walking up to a group, it's scary. Like, you don't know anyone. They're all talking, chit-chatting, laughing, and you walk up to a group, and introducing yourself does seem really scary in your head. But once you step in and be like, hey, hello, like, I'm new to this event. My name's Amelia. Just wanted to get to know you guys. Do you mind if I stand in and join your conversation? But like, even for me, sometimes in my mind, I'm scared of people looking at me and being like, who the hell is this girl? Like, that fear is such a strong emotion that it could stop you from even trying to go and take the initiative to step in and introduce yourself.
Yep, 100%. And, even from my experience, like, I used to be a broker, so I did a lot of what it's called is business development meetings and stuff like that, where I'd always go to conferences, and it's just a conference meeting where it's full of different banks, different brokers, and you really got to put yourself out there because one, your name and your face is the business. Mm-hmm. So making more, I just building relationships outside there so that you're recognized as who you are. It can be pretty daunting, especially when you're in a big group of 50, maybe 100, 200, 250 different people, all there doing the same thing.
But so how would you overcome that fear of stepping in there and introducing yourself or just speaking up? Like,
look, I'll definitely put my hand up and say, look, I wasn't ever, I guess, fearful of being confident. Well, yeah, fearness of actually putting myself out there. But it's a fact of just putting yourself outside those comfort zones and just doing it.
Yep.
And that's the only way that I had to learn was to do that, was to go out there, put my hand out, shake people's hands, saying, hey, g'day, putting a name to the face.
I think it's also just being comfortable in being uncomfortable. So you have fear is because you don't know the unknown, but being uncomfortable with just not knowing anything or being in the unknown helps you kind of grow away from that fear of rejection or fear of, whatever that is, your fears. And like, even if because I go to these things called the design conference every year. It's a really big event for just the creative industry. And speaking or listening to a lot of the speakers that go up on that stage, speaking in front of like 600 people, they still get stage fright. But the thing is, they say that might not ever go away. Like, some people say it never goes away, but it's just being uncomfortable with that fear, or being uncomfortable in being that uncomfort feeling. That's what helps you grow and just understand that it's just a temporary emotion. It's not something that's going to stay. And as long as you try and you've tried your best, that's the best thing you can give yourself.
Yeah. And look, I think it's just experience and time, right? It's the repetitiveness of putting yourself outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, experiencing the fails or you know what I mean, the rejection and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you'll learn to be comfortable in those situations.
Yeah, I know that, when you first do it, it might feel awkward, or you might make a fool out of yourself, which I still do myself, but it's also how you carry that feeling. Like, you can laugh it off, or you can think that you're an idiot. I tend to just laugh it off. Like, even now when I talk to people, sometimes I say really stupid things, like, when you're just on a day where you've been really busy and your mind's just not thinking straight anymore, you just say something and you're just like, after you said it, you're like, why the hell did I say something like that? And I'm just like, I'm an idiot, but I just laugh it off and then just keep the conversation going, like, move on. Like, don't dwell on, why you were being such an idiot. Like, it doesn't really matter. And the only person who really thinks of that is really yourself. The other person probably forgot about it 5 seconds later.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that kind of leads on to the next thing, is like, be okay with rejection. So rejection happens regardless, and say, it happens in different situations, whether you're applying for a job or, you're asking this guy out that you've really liked for a long time, or there's just a really good opportunity that came up and this is the only time you can ask for it. Like, be okay with rejection, because I feel like rejection happens for a reason. Like, it happens, and as long as, I feel like you can always ask more questions as to why you got rejected. Like, say you apply for a job and they're like, sorry, we can't accept your application. And rather than leaving it as that and self-criticizing, being like, I'm not good enough, my work's not good enough, or whatever, it's asking, can I get more tips as to why I didn't make the cut, why my application wasn't accepted? And then if they gave you a reason, you can learn from that. And it's, again, like, always ask questions to learn more.
Yeah, it's really important to ask questions, especially when those situations where you obviously got rejected, but you also want to understand how and why. And then that way you can apply those differences for the next time that you apply or whatever it is. So, yeah, asking questions is definitely really important when it comes to that.
And the same thing, like, if you kind of go to like a school or playground or something, kids are pretty fearless, like, I would say. Like, they go in there, they're by themselves, they don't really have any friends, but they can easily just be like, hey, can you be my friend? And if a kid said no, usually the kid would just run around and just go find another kid and be like, hey, can I play with you? Like, you see that kind of behavior and you kind of think, why am I always so afraid of trying and trying again? Whereas, like, a kid can just easily just go to someone else and just try and make friends again. So I think it's just the thing that I want to say here is just give it a go. And then if it doesn't work out, try a different perspective, or try a different angle, or try something else to, you've got rejected, but why does that matter so much that you got rejected?
Yeah, and that's really important too, because, it does matter to be rejected, but you can use that experience as a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
You can apply that for the next point in the future.
Because if that kid didn't even try again, he would leave that playground with no friends. So, like, obviously, it sounds really sad, but, you know, it's just the point is it's that you've tried rather than you haven't tried at all and got nothing out of it.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you'll always just be questioning what can I do to get to that next step, but you won't know because you haven't tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, so leading from that is just wanting to say that everything happens for a reason, especially, you know, like in relationships or something. You really like this guy, you asked him out and he was like straight up no, and say he was being a real dick about it, then that's your reason. Like, it's a good thing that you didn't end up with him because he wasn't even the right person for you anyway, and you wouldn't have known until you've asked him.
Yeah, and it's probably a good thing that he rejected you and acted like a dickhead, because then you realize that he's not the right one anyway.
Yeah.
And look, there's always plenty of fishes in the sea where you can try elsewhere. You can always go out there and meet other people and all new people, and that's going to give you an idea as to your options.
Yeah, and then an even better person probably would come across, and, you know, you've realized that it's good that you didn't end up with this person, and now you've found the right person for you.
Yeah, and at the same time, everything happens for a reason, because it could be a timing thing. You don't know. It could be something else that's a play in your life or in your situation or environment. So, you know, it's just about experiencing everything and anything at your point in life.
Yeah, and I think when these things happen, rejections or things that set you back, when it happens, understand that just don't just give up. Like, it happens for a reason, and it's just giving you the opportunity to try harder or keep learning, keep pushing forward, and building yourself up for the next step of when you ask again, or, you know, whatever it is, and just don't give up and just keep pushing.
Yeah, the way I see it is, you know, we only live once, so we should always be pushing ourselves as an individual to the fullest. So any opportunity, whatever it is, just give it a crack, give it a try. And even if it doesn't go your way, at least you could say, well, I've tried. And that's why everything happens for a reason. It's, well, yeah, okay, this moment didn't work or this situation didn't work, but I went through a particular way and it didn't work. So maybe the next time I will try something different.
Yeah. Something else that just popped up in my mind, like, fear is just another emotion. But, like, you hear people have fear of rejection or whatever it is, but you don't hear people have fear of happiness. Like, why are people so accepted of happiness? And if you think of it this way, not every happy emotion that you feel could end up with a good result, like, or end up in a good way. Like, it's just, again, a temporary feeling. But if you're happy, I don't know, I don't have an example at the moment, but sometimes when you feel happy, it's just could delay you on, like, say you're laying on the couch, you're watching TV, you're feeling really relaxed and happy, but you actually had a project that you need to finish. So that's still a temporary feeling. But no one is ever fearful of being happy. So why should you feel fearful of rejection, if that makes sense? Like, everything that you feel is just an emotion, and understand that it's just an emotion and it's all temporary. It's not something that will stay for life.
Yeah, and I think, I guess what you were trying to say is when people are happy, they're content. So when they're content, they relax and they chill out, and you know what I mean? Like, they don't realize that reality is still reality. They're so stuck in this moment where they're like, yeah, this is a good moment. This is a good time. I'm happy. Let me just chill out.
Well, I think another perspective of what I was trying to say is, like, if you put it in terms of people and their physical appearance, why are people always scared of the biggest dude, the biggest and jacked dude in the room, as opposed to someone who looks very, you know, just normal day-to-day guy? But in the end, both of them could be equally as friendly, like helpful, like caring. So it's like, why is everyone so fearful of, rejection and just fear itself as opposed to feeling happiness? Like those emotions should be all on a level playing field, if that makes sense. Like you just got to understand each emotion and what it's trying to do and how to work around it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, let's just sum it up. Rejection is something that can happen and, it's inevitable in life, but don't be so afraid of being rejected because good outcomes can actually still come from it. Whether or not it happened immediately or it's something that helped you work on a certain thing that build you to become a better person or better in your job or better in a relationship. And it might happen, 6 months, a year, 5 years later. But that rejection has actually built you to a better place as long as you've given it a go and being okay to step out of your comfort zone to even ask in the first place.
Yeah. Yep. And before we sort of tie it up, is there any situations that you have ever felt fearful of rejection?
For myself, no, not really. I wouldn't say, like, obviously there would be times, but I can't think of anything at the moment. But I think in a nutshell, I'm not a person who's afraid of rejection because I know it's going to happen regardless. So I would just do it anyway. But I would probably just need to mentally prepare myself. But in the end, I would still do something if I wanted to do it. But at the same time, I think doing what I do currently has built me, stronger in this way. So I do design, like I was a graphic designer, I do UI design as well. And just anyone in a creative industry, you know that your work is going to be critiqued every single day. Like no matter what it is, people are going to be critiquing you. And if you're always going to be fearful of that rejection, so someone's going to say like that design's shit, and you take it so personally, where you're like, okay, now my work actually is shit. Like, I don't even belong in this industry. And then the whole imposter syndrome thing comes in. Like, you can't live like that. Like, that's how I see it. Like, if someone... I also see it as, like, everyone in this world will see your design differently. Everything is, what's it called? How people always say, see design, like this one artwork that you do or this one website that you do. Someone might love it, someone might hate it. Like that's just the reality of design. But it depends on how you take that criticism. Like how I see it is everyone's feedback is valuable because I'm designing a website for the audience. Like you put it out in the world. So if they have feedback, they have feedback for a reason. I wouldn't think of my design shit because so that's why they said it's bad. Like they might say it's because the homepage is just designed so bad where they couldn't find a button or they didn't know where to go or the content flow is just so bad that they couldn't understand what this website's about. Like everyone is giving me feedback for a reason and I need to take that on board, so I would never take it personally. So I think working in the creative industry has helped me build me in that way, but I think naturally I have never been a person who would self-criticize myself in that way anyway, and I wouldn't be scared of asking something and holding myself back because of rejection.
And were you always the same when you were younger?
I think when I was younger, funnily, I was actually even less afraid. When I was younger, I would just do anything and everything. I would not give a shit. I think it's actually me growing up, and then, like we said at the start, fear of rejection usually comes from experience. So that has actually set me back. But I would say, it set me back, but it's not enough where I would stop doing something just because I'm scared of being rejected.
Yeah, okay. That
what
makes
about
sense.
you though? Have you had any moments where you were scared of being rejected?
I think
personal or work or anything.
I think when I was younger, definitely. I think my confidence, self-esteem was pretty low when I was a kid.
So opposite of me.
So opposite of you. So I was always very scared of like putting my hand up, asking questions. I was never really that person to do that. And I was always scared of, a fear of rejection. I was always scared of being told no.
But like, what's the fear behind that? Is it scared of people, thinking you're an idiot, or?
I think it's a combination of things, right? It's
Mm.
class as an idiot or something like that.
Yeah, because like you ask a stupid question,
yeah.
people are like, why'd you ask that dumb question? Or
Yeah.
Like that.
It's like being imaged as you're, stupid or something like that.
Mm.
And I think towards being, I guess, that earlier 20s and then being in the workforce, it's just, I guess, growing from that point in terms of confidence and that sort of stuff.
Mm.
Now, in terms of work, I mean, there was a moment where it took me, I don't know, I had like 12 months dead time period where I was trying to find work.
Mm.
And that was kind of rough in terms of trying to apply for work and then being rejected. But it didn't really bother me too much because it's like, well, there's a reason to why I'm being rejected.
Mm.
And it could be a combination of things. But I use that, I guess, to improve the next time that I would try to apply.
Yeah. That's
Whether
good though, because like some people might actually end up, because it does get to you, like it's like if you can't find a job for like 12 months, I've been there before too, and it can get to you, you're like, oh, is it me? Like, is it because I don't have enough experience with, and like, am I, not what they're looking for?
Yeah, there's a combination of things.
But it's good that you actually took the initiative to, keep working on yourself or what you need to do to keep applying.
Yeah, and, it could have been a combination of, like, my resume. It could have been me, how I proposed myself in real life, how I spoke, how I held myself in meetings or, like, the interviews and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, who knows, it could have been a combination of things, but...
Yeah, that's why I say, like, it's good because you keep entering from different perspectives, keep trying, tweak something, try again, and also, like... You're hungry?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
I can hear your stomach grumbling from over here. We'll wrap this up soon and then we'll have some pumpkin soup.
Shit.
Homemade. But yeah, anyway, so like it's good that you tried different perspectives and, you just kept trying, like kept tackling the problem and kept going in again rather than giving up.
Yeah, and, towards my mid-20s when I finally understood that life is all about progressing and moving forward, regardless of the bullshit that you face, because that's life and that's a fact of life. We only live once and we always have to move forward. So I don't know, just the way I see things in life, it's just like, well, let's just keep doing it. Let's just give it a crack. If it fails, it fails. Who gives a shit? Just let's keep going.
I have a really good quote for that though, to kind of like wrap up what you said. So there's this quote from Henry Ford, which I really, really love. And it's when everything seems to be going against you. So for example, you couldn't find a job for 12 months. That's, going against you because you couldn't find a job. Remember that airplanes take off against the wind and not with it.
True. That's actually, pretty good.
Yeah. So it's just, like when things are going against you, just keep pushing through, and airplanes can self-sustain themselves up in the air and they're pushing against the wind and not with it.
Yeah, which is applicable in real life, right? Like just living a day by day, just keep moving forward. Like you just got to think about yourself and progressing as an individual, because you're not going to go anywhere without pushing yourself in that way. So that's why every time I go, like for an example, if I were to do an interview or if I were to do meetings or host training sessions and stuff like that, it's always about just being confident, right? Like, you may not know everything.
Just own
but
what you do and know that you've given it 100%, even though from the outside it may not be your best, but you at that point in time have given your best.
Yeah, and that's what really matters, right? Even if you did fuck up or whatever it is what it is. And it's all about trying and being as professional as possible. So
I think the only way that you would actually truly fail is if you stopped trying or didn't try at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And also in terms of saying, keep trying, try again, take different perspectives. We also want to say, know the right time to try again. Like obviously, for example, in a relationship, you ask someone out and someone has given you the clear direction or clear answer saying that they don't see us being together or something like that. And you've tried a few times, you gotta know when to stop. You wouldn't want to keep pestering because that person's just gonna end up hating you and may even lose a friend. But, you know, if it's a job or whatever it is, like, you can have the potential to keep trying and tweak your resume, your portfolio, whatever, reapply.
Yeah, even if you were look at this as a relationship point of view, there's the right time and moment to keep pushing forward, like you said, right? It's got to be a mutual thing where she has to feel the same way as how you feel.
Well, like, sometimes there are people who actually just never had the interest at all, whereas the other person just really did want to get this person. They just keep trying, and in the end, that person does win the person over, which is a good example of, you know, keep trying, but it's just understanding how far you push this.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends, right? If you're patient and you're able to, I guess, time it correctly, then it could work, right?
Yeah, which comes back to everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, right? So, like, I know people that have tried getting this particular, like, girl for years, and he was essentially friend zoned. So, you know, he was patient, he kept trying, and then eventually it worked. So it can work. It just, everything happens for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think that was a good chat about, you know, why people are scared of rejection or even just fear itself. And I think we'll go get some pumpkin soup now.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Good food. All right, see you guys.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much if you have reached to the end. We really appreciate you for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please share it with your friends or family and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to.
Make sure you share any topics you'd like us to cover or questions you might have to our Instagram.
Slide it into our DMs.
Pika. You can also stay in the loop of all the behind the scenes and the release of our new episodes there too. Our Instagram is Ask the Duo Podcast. That's AskTheDuo Man, feels like I'm in a spelling bee competition right now. Alright, that's it for now, and we'll see you back here for our next episode. Bye!
See ya!